Ladies and gents, it's Pete Thorn. Welcome to the studio. Hey, check it out from the nice folks at TSAKALIS. It's the MULTICAB Mark 3.5. You heard it on all the guitar parts on that track at the beginning of the video. This is a cabinet simulator. It's also a preamp and power amp simulator, and it's also a simple ambience box if you want to add a little bit of ambience or air or reverb to the sound. This does all that. Now, it's a hybrid digital and analog box. All the preamp and power amp sim stuff, that's all analog, and then the cabinet sims and the ambience, that's digital. You can use it in a number of different ways, and I tried to do that on that track at the beginning of the video. So for example, that first guitar part that came in, I was using it at the end of my pedal board chain. So I was running some overdrives into it, and essentially I was using this as, you can think of it as basically my clean amp and power amp sim, and then speaker simulation coming right out of this box after my pedal board, then going straight into my recording interface. So this is like, you can go totally ampless basically, and it becomes your amplifier and cabinet sounds. Nice if you just want to run a pedal board only setup and get some really realistic tones going. I was really happy with that sound. I ran an Origin Revival drive into this for a little bit of grind, and then set the MULTICAB in the clean setting, and I think on the 6L6 tube type setting. You've got basically a clean and hot setting here for preamp voicing, or you can shut off the preamp voicing. And then you've got 6L6 EL34 or off for the power amp voicing. So yeah, I used 6L6 and I used the clean voicing. Sounded just great. I added a little bit of ambience into the signal, and I thought that tone was actually like super realistic, and you wouldn't have known it wasn't a real tube amp, I don't think. So that's one way you can use it. Go ampless, put it at the end of your pedal board chain. Really cool use for it. Another way you can use it is turn off all of this preamp and power amp sim stuff and essentially come out of a load box using a real tube amp. So load your amp down to line level, maybe something like the original Sir reactive load that didn't have any cab sim built in. Take the line out of that box, run it into here, and then this becomes your cab sim. And also you can add in some simple ambience there as well. Now you get 8 different built-in cab sims. There's everything in there from a 110 to a 410 to a couple different 112s, a couple different 212s to a couple different 412s. A bunch of different speaker types like V30s, G12H30s, some more sort of Fender style variety stuff. Pretty good cross section of speakers in there for a bunch of different musical styles. And then for each of the cabinet sims, you can actually fine tune the cabinet tone a little bit further, as well as the microphone tone. First off here, as far as the cabinet goes, you can select closed, semi-open back or open back cabinet. And I believe this stuff here is done in the analog world. It's just kind of a filter that fine-tunes the low end a little bit and tailors the cabinet voicing. And then there's also a microphone control here that lets you select ribbon, dynamic, or both types of virtual mics. Other stuff, let's see, what do we got here? We got a line input, and you've got a 3-position switch here that lets you kind of tailor the input level, whether you're coming out of, pedals, or whether you're coming out of a hot line level out from a load box or something. So you can dial it in there for whatever you're using. You've also got a through output here. I guess that's an unaffected output. That's nice to have. You've got a headphone jack. You've also got an aux in here, it looks like on an 1/8 inch. So if you want to run, some kind of like iPod or something like that into it to play along with tracks, you can do that. And what else we got here? A 1/4 inch line out you can use as either TRS or just a TS style cable. You got a ground lift, and you got an XLR out here. Okay, so what I want to do is solo a bunch of the parts from the song at the beginning of the video outside of the mix, detail how I used this and what I was using, to get each part essentially recorded. And then I'm also going to use my TC Ditto looper to record a guitar loop through the pedal. So it's going to be guitar into the looper, straight into this, nothing else involved in the tone. I'm going to come out of here then into my recording interface, and that way you're going to hear this unadulterated without any other amps or pedals or anything in front of it, and you'll just hear the different cabinet types and pre and power amp sims and all that good stuff. All right, let's get on with it. It is the MULTICAB Mark 3.5 from TSAKALIS. So one of my favorite sounds that I got with the MULTICAB is the sound that I got on the telly, just for the quick little lead part right at the end of that track. And I'm using actually the 112 cab here, and I believe that's supposed to be like a 112 with a V30 in it, I think. And I've got all the power amp and preamp simulations switched off, and I'm using basically the box for ambience and for speaker simulation. So I'm running a Top Hat King Royale amp, okay, first of all, and the telly is going into a Unit 67 boost into the front end of the amp. That's kind of adding a little bit of a range master thing, just a little bit, as well as shaving off a little lows, adding a little bit of top end, a little bit of compression. That's a really nice pedal, the Unit 67. Kicking the front end of the AC30 style Top Hat King Royale. Yeah, and then I'm taking the load box out, my Surreactive load line out, into the multicab, like I say, for that 112 cabinet simulation. It just sounds really cool. So I'm just setting up to do a crunchy rhythm sound right now in that song at the beginning of the video, going back in time right now. I just thought I'd step you through some of the different cabinet choices on the multi-cab right now with the sound that I've got dialed up, and also show you what the microphone switch does. All the preamp and power amp modeling is off, and I'm going to use the closed back setting here on this cabinet switch here that lets you switch up kind of the voicing. You can get either kind of, well, let me just show you what it does here. And so it kind of just tunes the low end, really. Even though you've got simulations in here that are labeled 412, 212, you can go further with kind of tweaking those with that switch right there and kind of attenuate or add a little bit more full low end to the sound. Okay, now as far as this switch right here, the kind of microphone choice switch, you get a couple different settings, 3 settings actually. You get dynamic, ribbon, and both blended. So let me show you what that sounds like. This is the both setting. Okay, and let's go to the ribbon setting. And the dynamic setting. Okay, so you get your ribbon mic there for your darker, fuller tones. You got the dynamic mic with all the cut in the top end, and then you can blend them both, and that's unsurprisingly what I like to do. Sounds good. That's kind of what I do in real life too, on a real cabinet. The cabinet that you're hearing me play through right now is, I believe, G12H30 loaded 412 simulation, and it's kind of my favorite sounding cabinet in the box, and certainly my favorite 412 setting. So it sounds like this. Okay, and that'd be really easy to kind of tune up with EQ or tweak around however you want in your DAW or maybe in the PA if you're using this live. It's just a good kind of all-around, good, tough rock and roll kind of British cabinet setting. Go into the other 412 setting. This is V30 loaded 412. That also sounds cool. It's just a little bit thinner on the low end, but it'd be great maybe for lead parts and stuff blended with using the other one for rhythm, because it's more sort of mid-range focus setting would sit in a mix nice and separate the different guitar tones. What's nice about having a box like this is you can use different sounding cabs and then blend them in a recording and you know, vary up your tones and stuff and make space for the different parts. Here's a 212 with 75s. I think that's supposed to be one of those 1936 style Marshall horizontal 212s. Here's a more like a Vox style, like 212 with Celestions. That sounds pretty cool too. This is another one of my favorite cabs here. This is a 112, and I think it's supposed to be a V30 and a 112, but it sounds really good to me. It's got a mid-range richness to it, and it's kind of smooth on the top end, so that's a cool one for leads too, when you want the lead to cut but not be piercing. This is another 112. I think this is supposed to be more like a open back Fendery style. And what do we got here? 410. This one's cool too. That one's really cool. It's got like an air to it in the low end, that kind of 410 bloom that they do. I like that. That kind of pillowy thing in the low end. Sounds really cool. And then this is a 110, so this is going to be kind of the smallest sound. That one I would probably use for just specialized stuff, not that much stuff. My favorite cabs in the thing, I think, are the 410, the 112 that's supposed to be a V30 style, and the 412 with G12H30s. This one, I'll come back. This is definitely my favorite cab in the box. Thanks for watching my video on the MULTICAB Mark 3.5. Terrific sounding analog front end and digital back end as far as the cabinet sims and the ambience go. This is a really useful box if you want to maybe go completely ampless and just use your pedals on your board and you need a virtual amp sim so that you can run out into a PA or a recording interface. Great way to go. Also, if you've got something like a hot plate or maybe an original Sur reactive load box to load your amp down to line level and now you need a cab sim, this is a great use for this box as well. You're going to get 8 different cabinet types, all the different built-in voicing stuff, as well as a way to add some simple ambience to your sound, which is really nice. It's a great sounding, basic straight up kind of roomy, holly reverb. And if you're not used to hearing, close mic guitar, and if it sounds really sort of dry to you, this is a simple way that you can add a little bit of ambience, a little bit of air and life to the signal, whether you're playing through headphones or maybe going direct into some studio monitors or even into a PA. You can check it out further at the link down in the video description below. Click there, it'll take you to all the info about the MULTICAB. Please hit subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell beside the subscribe. You will get an alert. I always do that. Hit the bell beside the subscribe. You will get an alert every time I put out a new video. Thanks for watching. I'm Pete Thorn. Take care, you guys. See ya.